The alarmed rustics were on their feet, and Ruchot Roaph's and some few among them took to their heels; but Ashbead, Hal o' Nabs, with half a dozen others, stood their ground manfully. The monks remained, in the hope of preventing any violence. Presently the halberdiers came up. "That is the ringleader," cried the officer, who proved to be Richard Assheton, pointing out Ashbead. "Seize him." "No mon shall lay honts on me," cried Cuthbert; and as the guard pushed past the monks to execute their leader's order, he sprang forward, and wresting a halbert from the foremost of them, stood upon his defence. "Seize him, I say," shouted Assheton, irritated at the resistance offered. "Keep off," cried Ashbead. "You're best. Like a staggered bear, I'm dangerous. Ware horns, I say." The arquebussiers looked irresolute. It was evident Ashbead would only be taken with life, and they were not sure that it was their leader's purpose to destroy him. "Put down thy weapon, Cuthbert," interposed the prior. "It will avail thee nothing against odds like these." "Maybe, holy prior," rejoined Ashbead, flourishing the pike; "boh ey'st only yield wi' my life." "I will disarm him," cried Demdike, stepping forward. "Theaw," retorted Ashbead, with a scornful laugh. "Come on, then. Hadst aw the fiends i' hell at thy back, ey shouldna fear thee." "Yield!" cried Demdike, in a voice of thunder, and fixing a terrible glance upon him. "Come on, wizard," rejoined Ashbead, undauntedly; but observing that his opponent was wholly unarmed, he gave the pike to Hal o' Nabs, who was close beside him, observing, "It shall never be said that Cuthbert Ashbead fought to duel himself unfairly. Now, touch me if thou darest." Demdike required no further provocation. With almost supernatural force and quickness, he sprang upon the forester, and seized him by the throat. But the active young man freed himself from the gripe, and closed with his assailant. For though of Herculean build, it soon became evident that Ashbead would have the worst of it, when Hal o' Nabs, who had watched the struggle with intense interest, could not help coming to his friend's assistance, and made a push at Demdike with the halbert. Could it be that the wrestlers shifted their position, or that the wizard was indeed aided by the powers of darkness? None could tell, but so it was that the pike pierced the side of Ashbead, who instantly fell to the ground with his adversary upon him. The next instant his hold relaxed, and the wizard sprang to his feet unarmed, but deluged in blood. Hal o' Nabs uttered a cry of keenest anguish, and flinging himself upon the body of the forester, tried to staunch the wound; but he was quickly seized by the arquebussiers, and his hands tied behind his back with a thong, while Ashbead was lifted up and borne towards the Abbey, the monks and rustics following slowly after, but the latter were not permitted to enter the gate. As the unfortunate keeper, who by this time had become insensible from loss of blood, was carried along the walled enclosure leading to the abbot's lodgings, a female, with a child in her arms, was seen approaching from the opposite side. She was tall, finely formed, with features of remarkable beauty, though of a masculine and somewhat savage character, and with magnificent but fierce black eyes. Her skin was dark, and her hair raven black, contrasting strongly with the red band wound around it. Her kirtle was of murrey coloured serge, simply but becomingly fashioned. A glance sufficed to show her how matters stood with poor Ashbead, and uttering a sharp angry cry, she rushed forward. "What have you done?" she cried, fixing a keen reproachful look on Demdike, who walked beside the wounded man. "Nothing," replied Demdike, with a bitter laugh. "The fool has been hurt with a pike. Stand out of the way, Bess, and let the men pass. They are about to carry him to the cell under the chapter house." "You shall not take him there," cried Bess Demdike, fiercely. "He may recover if his wound be dressed. Let him go to the infirmary. I forgot there is no one there now." "Father Mancroft is at the gate," observed one of the arquebussiers. "He used to act as surgeon at the Abbey."
"No monk must enter the gate, except the prisoners when they arrive," observed Assheton. "Such are the positive orders of the Earl of Derby."
"It is not needed," observed Demdike. "No human aid can save the man." "But can other aid save him?" said Bess, breathing the words in her husband's ears. "Go to!" cried Demdike, pushing her roughly aside. "Wouldst have me save thy lover?" "Take heed," said Bess, in a deep whisper. "If thou save him not, by the devil thou servest, thou shalt lose me and thy child." Demdike did not think it proper to contest the point, but, approaching Assheton, requested that the wounded man might be conveyed to an arched recess, which he pointed out. Assent being given, Ashbead was taken there, and placed upon the ground, after which the arquebussiers and their leader marched off, while Bess, kneeling down, supported the head of the wounded man upon her knee, and Demdike, taking a small phial from his doublet, poured some of its contents down his throat. The wizard then took a fold of linen, with which he was likewise provided, and dipping it in the elixir, applied it to the wound. In a few moments Ashbead opened his eyes, and, looking round wildly, fixed his gaze upon Bess, who placed her finger upon her lips to enjoin silence, but he could not or would not understand the sign. "Oh, so wi' me, Bess," he groaned; "boh ey'd rayther dee thus wi' thee beside me than any other way." "Hush!" exclaimed Bess. "Nicholas is here." "Oh, ey see," replied the wounded man, looking round; "boh what matters it? Ey'st be gone soon. Ah, Bess, dear lass, if thou'dst promise to break thy compact wi' Satan, to repent, and save thy precious soul, I should die content." "Oh, do not talk thus," cried Bess. "You will soon be well again." "Listen to me," continued Ashbead, earnestly. "Dost nah knoa that if thy babe be na baptised afore to morrow neet, it'll be sacrificed to t' Prince o' Darkness? Go to summat t' holy fathers, confess thy sins, and implore heaven's forgiveness. Mayhap they'll save thee and thy infant." "And be warned as a witch," rejoined Bess, fiercely. "It is useless, Cuthbert. I have tried them all. I have knelt to them, implored them, but their hearts are as hard as flints. They will not heed me. They will not disobey the abbot's cruel injunction, though he be their superior no longer. But I shall be avenged on him terribly avenged." "Leave me, thou wicked woman," cried Ashbead. "I dunna wish to hear thee no more. Let me dee i' peace." "Thou wilt not die, I tell thee, Cuthbert," cried Bess. "Nicholas hath staunched thy wound." "He staunched it, say'st thou?" cried Ashbead, rising. "I'd never owe my life to him." And before he could be prevented, he tore off the bandage, and the blood burst forth anew. "It is not my fault if he perishes now," observed Demdike, moodily. "Help him, help him!" implored Bess. "He shanna touch me," cried Ashbead, struggling and increasing the effusion. "Keep him off, I adjure thee. Farewell, Bess," he added, sinking back utterly exhausted by the effort. "Cuthbert!" screamed Bess, terrified by his looks. "Cuthbert, art thou really dying? Look at me speak to me." "Ah!" she cried, as if seized by a sudden idea. "They say the blessing of a dying man will avail. Bless my child, Cuthbert. Bless it." "Give it to me," groaned the forester. Bess held the infant towards him, but before he could place his hands upon it, all power forsook him, and he fell back and expired. "Lost! Lost for ever lost!" cried Bess, with a wild shriek. At this moment a loud blast was blown from the gate tower, and a trumpeter called out, "The abbot and 2 other prisoners are coming." "To thy feet, wench!" cried Demdike, imperiously, and seizing the bewildered woman by the arm. "To thy feet, and come with me to meet him." CHAPTER 4